For over 70 years, the Juvenile Welfare Board has been leading the way for partnerships, innovation, and advocacy. Leadership comes in many forms. You can lead by being bold, courageous, brave, or by taking calculated risks. By blazing trails or being the first to take on something new or complex. You can lead by example, by walking the talk and doing what you say you will do. By being transparent and consistent to earn the trust and confidence of others. Last year, the Juvenile Welfare Board continued our commitment of investing in children to strengthen our community. And with our strategic plan to guide us, we were able to accomplish much and impact many.
Last year, JWB invested $56.8 million in 88 programs with 49 nonprofit agencies. This included $4.3 million for new and current program enhancements, an 8% increase over the prior year, plus $1 million for non-operating capital improvements. In total, these investments served over 66,000 children and families. Looking through a lens of equity and inclusion, we continued our formative work with Unite Pinellas.
When JWB first collected people together to talk about leadership, many of us around the county were very intrigued with the idea. With JWB's leadership to sort of set the way and model the way and set the tone for what this could look like, it is also true that the rest of us are equally compelled to learn together. And the first place to start is with data. So very shortly, we're about to have an equity atlas map for our county so that you can literally understand what's out of equity. We have to change the narrative. We have to change the narrative so people understand who's being heard and why. The folks with the least are often the most unheard. One of the things Unite can do is lift their voices up so we understand and can prioritize the problem and give ourselves some courage to step in strongly and face this issue of race and segregationist past that has to be repaired in order for us to fix the systems to move forward. I think that's the best thing about Unite and the best thing about JWB modeling the way.
Then, we focus that lens internally to explore equity and inclusion.
The process that we went through here at JWB to talk about cultural competence, diversity, equity, and inclusion was really predicated on the idea of how does a funding agency create opportunities for their funded agencies to become more culturally competent. The first step, which is always brave, is to say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to actually have an assessment done and we're going to understand who we are. To hold a mirror up to yourself is really, really challenging. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of strength to be able to look at yourself honestly and see the things to see the opportunities that you need in order to move forward.
We also received a glowing reaccreditation from COA, sponsored a number of events, trainings, and conferences, and continue to lead the way to give Pinellas children brighter futures. Last year, JWB invested in 15 school readiness programs that serve more than 8,000 young children. The results? 85% were on target to enter kindergarten ready to learn. 93% met or exceeded expectations for social-emotional learning. With a focus on improving quality, JWB hosted a series of trainings for early learning staff.
The trauma training that took place in Pinellas County through JWB with Barbara Sorrells was awesome. We started to think a little bit different, digging a little bit deeper on the emotions of these children and families, and by learning more from it, by JWB offering these trainings, it was really raising the bar.
14, 15.
We also released funding to expand our quality early learning model to Lealman. and awarded 32 early childhood scholarships with St. Petersburg College. "40 programs aimed at improving a child's success in school were funded last year, serving 27,000 youth. The outcomes? 83% received no more than one disciplinary action in school. 85% acquired positive interpersonal skills based on survey results. Enhanced funding made it possible to expand the middle school academy model to 5 sites. And to improve quality for community out-of-school time programs.
The Juvenile Welfare Board had announced that they were going to make program enhancements, and they had a carve out of additional resources that were available for community out-of-school time.
After the first few collaborative meetings that took place with the community out-of-school time providers, we asked the Juvenile Welfare Board if we could hold separate meetings.
That was what true leadership is, particularly from RC, to be able to be okay to say, yeah, this isn't a control thing. Let's let them meet and let's let them figure things out.
What came out of those meetings was this very valuable white paper that then turned around and provided additional support, additional resources for each one of the agencies.
Having a framework around the consensus building workshop, identifying the 8 characteristics that are needed specifically around staff development and retention, ways in which we can give kids youth voice, have academic enhancements, and ultimately try to see how we can redefine student success metrics. All of this will go to raise the quality of community out-of-school time.
Our grade-level reading campaign gave out 20,000 new books to kids over summer and year-round, trained 24 partners through the Lectio Institute, and received national recognition for our attendance and literacy efforts. Once again, JWB staff mentored students through Lunch Pals and through a year-end celebration with a few special surprises for students advancing to middle school. And over the summer, JWB hosted a career day for teens in our youth employability program.
They taught us how to dress, you have a good handshake, good attitude, focus on what you need to do, and get ready for a job interview.
"24 programs designed to strengthen families served more than 28,000 participants last year. The results? 95% of families were free from abuse and neglect 1 year after services. 81% improved parenting skills. JWB's Family Services Initiative continued to offer real-time help to families, serving over 8,000 and increasing the number who remained in their homes through rent assistance. With a continued focus on strengthening families, we also added new funding for early childhood court.
JWB has funded our community coordinator, which is an essential position for the early childhood court. The main thing that JWB has done for us is allowed for us to take what we started and grow it even more and benefit even more families. What I think early childhood court is about is really stopping that cycle of intergenerational abuse.
JWB hosted a series of Screenagers events, offered youth mental health first aid training, and created an artwork exhibit for Mental Health Awareness Month, where program youth drew what makes them smile. Our Preventable Child Deaths initiative trained thousands of professionals, including first responders, on infant safe sleep, and we enhanced the Sleep Baby Safely campaign by distributing swag bags to new parents at birthing hospitals, and by launching a new Safe Sleep website and PSA. Last year, JWB invested $7.4 million in programs and efforts to strengthen community. This included enhanced funding for JWB's neighborhood family centers, largely in response to the growing Hispanic population. Combined, our NFCs served over 2,500 children and families and reached another 90,000 citizens through free workshops, educational classes, and health fairs. In an effort to better align resources and improve outcomes for youth, JWB allocated $1.8 million over 3 years for children's mental health.
We had some ideas about using alignment type processes to bring together the partners to improve children's mental health.
What the Juvenile Welfare Board has achieved is they've acted as the facilitator and the convener for this Children's Mental Health Initiative. And what that has accomplished so far is that it has brought all the right people to the table. We've already developed some priority areas and developed subcommittees from those priority areas. I think we're in the process of developing that plan. And ultimately what I'd like to look at is some of those better outcomes for our youth in our community. So in terms of mental health and substance abuse, we're fortunate to have leaders such as the Juvenile Welfare Board really taking that lead role and helping facilitate solutions to tackle this problem.
We also sponsored 2 faith-based conferences and released $50,000 for faith-based mini-grants. JWB's 3 community councils further connected with their respective communities, and our Youth Leadership Committee grew in membership and expanded county-wide to empower young people to have a voice.
I feel like it is important to find different voices because not everyone has the same opinion. We all have different opinions.
My personal belief is because JWB allows such a committee, it helps teens understand that, like, hey, my opinion is wanted and is treasured by people who really want to make a change.
Our Childhood Hunger Initiative launched a study to examine teen food insecurity, and we continued efforts to nourish children during the summer. In total, we gave out nearly 600,000 free summer meals to kids and increased the number of break spot sites by 43% since 2014. We also coordinated the distribution of FEMA surplus food that was about to expire after Hurricane Irma to a dozen charities who feed hungry children in our county.
We got a call from JWB to come out because there's a lot of food left over from Irma. When we first walked inside the warehouse, we saw boxes with boxes with boxes, and it wasn't just like lined up against the wall. It was like a few rows of pallets full of boxes of food. And so having JWB kind of like unite all of us feels really good.
The Juvenile Welfare Board is leading the way. That's important to us. We try and make sure that we utilize every resource we have. Naturally, the first thing people think about the resource of dollars, but it's so much bigger than that. The people that we work with, the children, the numbers, the statistics that show that we really are making an impact in this community. We have such a committed and dedicated board. Our staff are experienced, hardworking, and very knowledgeable. And we have probably the most enthusiastic volunteers. Put it together with all of the people that are out in the community, the organizations, the others who do the actual service and the direct service to children. That makes the difference. Everything that we do here at the Juvenile Welfare Board is about helping children to become the leaders of the future. They are the next generation, and they're going to make the difference.